welcome back to the Caffeinated Classroom in another edition of Teacher Tip Happy Hour, where I give you quick, actionable tips that you can use right now in your classroom and beyond, you guys. Today we are going to be talking about something that I get questions about all the time on social media, here, in real life, and that is about grading. Simplifying grading, specifically how to make a rubric. So, let's get started. Cheers! So, grading. Big, huge grading hack that I have for you is rubrics, especially if you're grading, especially when you are grading things that are not tests and quizzes and the sorts of things that have right and wrong answers, but they are more like soft assessments, like a project or an essay, right? English language arts teachers, you feel me on this one? We use rubrics. Rubrics are pretty great because you can assess different skills and different learning all in one big swoop with different sorts of criteria and different columns and different things that students are performing with. So today let's talk about how to actually create a rubric. Rubrics can be really time consuming. When I was first teaching, it would take me hours to create a rubric for, let's say, like an essay assignment, and then I would start actually grading things and realize I messed up and like my rubric was flawed and there was no way to go back, and I was spending more time writing comments, and it was just a whole entire mess. So I'm going to give you some strategies to streamline making rubrics in a way that sets you up for success, to save time, save energy, get those really, I've found that the best way, at least in my class, to assess learning is through those soft assessments, like projects, like essays, like presentations, where there's not just an answer key, because my classroom is skill-based. I teach on Common Core standards, which are skill-based, so I need to be assessing mastery or approaching mastery or exceeding mastery of skills. It's kind of counterintuitive to the way that we've known school for, all of time, but it is the wave of change. So let's talk about it, shall we? When we are coming up with a rubric, the first thing that you want to figure out is, what is it going to be used for? And I know you're like, duh, grading. Yeah, but rubrics can also be extremely effective tools for giving students feedback. Quite frankly, there are two types of rubrics that I use in my classroom. One is a feedback or a commentary rubric. Not commentary rubric, I just call it a feedback rubric. I don't know why I said that. And the other one is a grading or a scoring rubric. A feedback rubric is just that. It is used when a student is going to be resubmitting, it's a first draft of an essay. It's a feedback draft, as we call it in my classroom. Or they are somewhere in the process of a project, and I'm going to give them the feedback on whatever benchmark that they have hit so that they can continue their work and know where they are going, right? Feedback rubric has a lot of detailed comments. It's got everything outlined. It takes a long time to make, but once it has been made, it can inform student progress. It can simplify our interactions. It can aid in conferences so that I can help them along the way, right? And students can see what they're doing and where they're at, versus a scoring or a grading rubric, which is just that. It is just collect the work, grade the work according to the rubric, give back the grade that was earned, okay? So I normally use these in succession. Like, we'll do an essay and we'll do a process paper, whatever it is, and students will somewhere along the line either sit down one-on-one with me and I will fill out with them, or give them a pre-filled out feedback rubric for them to continue informing their work as they go. And then at the end, when final submissions are coming through, they get a graded grading rubric, and that's it. So let's talk about how to make a feedback rubric. The first thing that you're going to want to do is figure out what skills students are going to be performing through this assessment, whether it's a writing assessment or like an essay or a project or a presentation. Like, it doesn't really matter. What skills are they? What new skills have you taught them? What are some skills that they've already previously learned in units prior that they're accessing and still practicing? And then what are the expected things like grammar and mechanics in an essay, a formal academic tone in an essay, formatting and structure, like those sorts of things. What's the grading criteria? What are the skills that you're assessing? Start with that, and then figure out how you want the gradient to go, how you want the grading scale to work. Do you want students on a feedback rubric to see A through F? Do you want them to see exceeds expectations, meets expectations, below expectations? Like, how do you want that to go? And from there, you start actually filling in your commentary. So if I'm gonna go like one grading criteria at a time, this is the skill A that I have taught throughout this whole entire unit, and that this paper is their performance of showing me mastery of that skill. I'm gonna start with exceeds expectations. This is an exemplar, what it looks like, what I'm gonna see in your paper. Meets expectations, here's what this looks like, what I'm gonna see in your paper, blah, 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 blah. And I would do that for every single skill, every single criteria going down. And then from there, assign some numbers to each of these boxes, right? Because this is a big matrix. Assign some numbers to each of these boxes, because I have found that even when getting feedback, students like to know where they're at. And students know where they're at by seeing a grade or a score number, because that is how we have trained them in education. And we can't really fight that right now. So like, just go with it, you know? So even like, exceeds expectations, meets expectations, below expectations, I'm gonna give them a number so that they can see a percentage, because that's what they're going for. It's just, once again, meet them where they're at. That's how I would make a feedback rubric. It's gonna be more time consuming than what I'm about to tell you about, which is a grading rubric. But a feedback rubric can be used for so many different ways, which I will not get into right this minute, because that is a video for another day. But there you go. And actually, if you do have, so the second type of rubric, a grading rubric. So easy. You may have also heard of this called like a 3-point rubric or something thereabouts. A grading or a scoring rubric is so simple. And once again, because I am in California and I am teaching with the California Common Core standards, this is what I do to make a grading rubric. Once again, I look at that same list of skills, which have come directly from my standards, and I list them. I take the standards themselves and I list them out, and I also put them in plainer terms that students can understand. And I list them in the order that is important to me, or chronological, however it is that I want to use this rubric when I am grading. That right there is my middle column, meets standards. That in my head is like a B. Like they are there, they are achieving, there you have it. I also have a column on one side for exceeding that standard or expectation, where I'm gonna add a point or two. I don't have any sort of a description of it. I know what it looks like when I see it. And then on the other side, I'm gonna have does not meet that standard, and that is a 0. Like they either met the standard or they didn't meet the standard, and that's it. It is a 3-point rubric. Very simple grading scale. If we are really looking at skill mastery type of teaching, that's the way to grade it. So that is why I use both rubrics in tandem, and I will start with a feedback rubric, and all of the skills and criteria that are listed on the feedback rubric are reflected in the same order and in similar terms on the actual grading rubric, so students are able to see where things have gone and they have opportunity for revising and all of that good stuff. And I can talk to you sometime if you want about my whole entire process of teaching like a writing unit. If that is something that you're interested in, please leave me a little note in the comments down below so that I can prepare something like that. I'm also going to link down in the description box below this video a couple of rubrics that I use in my classroom just for free for your reference. If you want to use these, please feel free. I have a literary analysis essay feedback rubric for you and a literary analysis essay grading rubric for you, so you can see where I've taken the skills from the feedback and then put them into an actual like scoring and grading format, and my students see both of these things. They are things I actually use. Take them, use them, change them if you need to. They're there for you to use. Check them out in the link down below. And when we're on the subject of grading and rubrics and assessment and things that come at the end of a unit, I'm really excited because I wanted to tell you guys, coming very, very soon is going to be a mini course, or maybe even just like a live workshop that I'm going to do and record for your access of how I go about planning a unit from beginning to end. Well, spoiler alert, I start with the end and then I go backwards. But just step by step exactly how I plan a whole entire unit so that whatever we're doing at the end really does assess the skills that have been taught all the way throughout. So that is coming very soon. If you can't wait to see what a mini course from me or a workshop from me looks like though, I do have one already available. It is my classroom community from the ground up mini course. I will link it down below. It's just exactly what I have done and what I continue to do in my classroom to build community and culture that reflects me, my teaching practices, and creates a really positive place for kids to come and learn. So with that, I think we are all done. Thank you so much for watching. If you've not already done so, please like this video, subscribe, hit the little bell so you don't miss these weekly teacher tip happy hours. Please comment down below with your biggest takeaway from today's video or any questions, lingering, burning questions that you still have about grading and rubrics. Isn't it so fancy and flashy? I also have tons of great resources, workshops, lessons, mini courses, all available through my blog, thecaffeinatedclassroom.com. If we've not already connected on Instagram, make sure that we do so. I am posting classroom stories just about daily on Instagram so you can see what's going on in my classroom. If you want to see some of those resources and lessons in action, follow along. Let's connect. Until next time, thank you for watching. Bye.